So they've been filming Doomsday for quite a while now. And with that, we haven't really had any official leaks with actors on set. We've had the boring X mansion with the Sentinels, the massive set piece they've been building. And we've had a few other pieces from various places like the Winter Park where they've been filming. But no one's actually been seen on set. And also, they're just about to start shooting Spider-Man 4, which will also potentially give us some inkling, because we don't know when Spider-Man 4 is set. Everyone keeps saying, yo, it's got to be set before Doomsday, but does it? We don't know that. The Fantastic Four was set in the 60s, and although there is a 4-year time jump at the end of the movie, we don't know what year that takes the Fantastic Four post-credit scene into. If they're towards the end of the 60s, that could be the 70s. So now we've officially seen Doctor Doom. Not RDJ Doctor Doom, someone in Doctor Doom's costume. At least I hope that's not the official costume, because, yo, that looked worse than the Superman trunks, and that looked damn awful. So this does throw a lot of into the fire. As I've always said, Reddit is more reliable than all these scoopers. Most of their information actually comes from Reddit. The difference is I would come out and say this. So certain things that happened in the Fantastic Four movie and the Fantastic Four post-credit did not line up with so-called insiders. The post-credit scene is the main one, to be honest. That is the main one that doesn't line up with what people were saying. So it was supposed to be Doom steals Franklin Richards because he needs Franklin Richards' omnipotent powers. And that was a prerequisite that led everyone to believe it was the Fantastic Four on the ship in the post-credit scene for the Thunderbolts, because they're coming to Earth 616 because they want their kid back, and they've been tracking him, and some variation of that. You can make whatever theory up you want. But this throws all the rumors and leaks into contention. Like I always say, take it with a pinch of salt. And I would never give any scooper more validity than anyone else, unless you've got a really good track record, like Alex Perez, really. He's the only one with a really good track record, because the rest of them, they're hit and miss all the time. So we do know that Doctor Doom is the master manipulator. He's always 5 steps ahead of you. So we do know that Doom's ultimate plan will be to be the savior of the sacred timeline, to try and stop these incursions. That doesn't change that. But this whole yapping, as we would say here, this whole narrative that the Fantastic Four come to the MCU because they want their child back, it's kind of been thrown out of the window now. And I know some people will interpret the post-credit scene that, yes, off-screen, Doom is going to steal said child. Would it not have been more impactful to do that on-screen? Because I went to one of the first showings here in the UK Wednesday morning, and it was over half full. And for the UK, I know it's a summer holiday, but for the UK, half full screening, 10:30, it was IMAX as well. There was no reaction to Doctor Doom. No one actually reacted. Not like the Spider-Man No Way Home reactions when Toby and Andrew came out. I've been in a lot of really packed cinemas with all the reactions for the other Marvel movies when we've had them, but there was no actual reaction because he didn't do anything. Franklin didn't look scared. He took his mask off, and if he's going to end up looking like Tony Stark, obviously he's got to, because Robert Downey Jr.'s face is the same. Is it going to be Scarlet? We don't know. But he didn't seem scared at all. At this point, he would have been around 4 years old, because he was a small infant in the movie. So he would have been around 4 years old, starting to kind of, walk, if you like. But this whole, he steals a child narrative is kind of out the window now. And yes, it does imply, and Marvel kind of confirm that, yes, Doom is from the same universe, because there's the Latveria seat. But that doesn't really mean anything, to be honest. So it is fascinating how I've been saying for the longest time ever, and you may hear other creators now coming out and calling out BS, but I have always said take it with a pinch of salt. I don't know why people just take what these scoopers say at face value, because even if they've got a good track record. Now, we know after the Marvel subreddit got subpoenaed with Ant-Man 3, the whole fake and scooper game changed. It didn't, because like I've always said, Marvel DC Monsterverse, most reliable information comes on 4chan and Reddit. So there's some pretty interesting information to go over. Now, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's hella interesting. So up until a certain point in the film, Doom has been deceiving everyone, pretending to be an ally, acting like a hero. However, his true nature is revealed during the battle at the X Mansion, where he unveils his plan to create his own world. He explains how the conflict between the two groups was part of his strategy to accelerate the incursion. He then unleashes Sentinel under his control to attack the X-Men and the Avengers, forcing them to unite against him. And you could say, yo, what is he manipulating Franklin Richards in the Fantastic Four post-credit scene? Because at this point, he's a child. He's 4 years old. He might be one of the most powerful cosmic beings ever, maybe. But at this time, he's still too young to understand things. Yes, I know he did use his omnipotent powerful powers to bring back his mother, Sue Storm, in the movie. But did he know he was doing that? I don't know. Behind the scenes, Doom has a group of loyal allies, a corrupted version of Steve Rogers, Maestro Hulk, the Red Widow, and a variant of Killmonger wearing a powerful suit of armor. Doom sends them to lead an invasion of Earth 616, accompanied by an army of Doombot, knowing that without its greatest defenders, Earth 616 won't stand a chance. Now, what is interesting is everyone's throwing this narrative now that Chris Evans, Steve Rogers is going to be one of the main characters for the movie, which is interesting. And you're going to see some scoop going around. It's not really a scoop. Thor is going to be one of the main leads of the movie. No freaking man. No. He's had 4 movies. He's literally been everywhere, right? You could argue Doctor Strange might be one of the main leads as well, though they're not actually officially confirmed him. But they have confirmed that Thor is in this movie. So people being shocked because none of the leaks say Thor is one of the main leads. But they've been filming in the TVA. We know at the TVA Loki's there. We know Thor Loki are going to have a cute emotional reunion. So it's almost like some people don't use their own mind, like critical thinking, like thinking, yo, Thor, God of Thunder, one of the strongest Marvel characters ever, should have went for the head and taken out Thanos. It's really not that hard to figure out who's going to be the lead of the movie. Surprisingly, the leader from Earth 616 is also involved in Doom's plan, which explains how he knew about the incursions before anyone else. Not before Doctor Strange, that's Cap. These allies join Doom in the final battle inside the Void, where Doom brings both Franklin Richards and the Sanctuary with him. Now, is there going to be some time jump? Because we're not going to have a 4-year-old infant Franklin Richards walking around, are we? I mean, I don't know how it's going to work. Is he going to be much maturer? No, I don't know. There's going to have to be some time jump, because obviously there is. Between the Fantastic Four movie is in the 60s, right? So if they go back to the current day, he would be an adult by that time. You with me? And why would he bring Sentry and Franklin Richards? Also, it's also worth saying and interesting to me that sometimes he's like, yo, Doom needs the Scarlet Witch to attack Loki. But then there's no real talk of Scarlet Witch. There's no real talk of Thor. Are these plot leaks being pushed out by so-called scoopers that Marvel were trying to control to push a false narrative? I don't know. Like I said, the so-called scoopers and Reddit got few minor details wrong. But saying that, all the information came from Reddit. So when people say, oh, the scoopers got stuff wrong, no, it came from Reddit. There was a few details that was wrong in the Fantastic Four movie, and a massive plot point of the post-credit scene was wrong. But again, that came from a test screening. It didn't come from scoopers. I wish people would actually know the difference. So there's also another one here. I received this information from a friend who works in the image and design department of this movie. The scene in question takes place in the 3rd act and is part of concept art. The scene is set in the Void, you know, that place that's already been shown in Loki series and Deadpool and Wolverine. Some heroes are positioned in front of a gigantic forest filled with mystical energy, with intense green energy beams immencing through the trees. A green energy beams. Okay, basically, what people saying that's Loki? I'm not. I'm just spitballing. In front of the forest, we see Reed Richards, Sam Wilson, and Cyclops standing side by side, preparing to enter. At the center of the forest, standing out, is a colossus statue of Doctor Doom. Further ahead, much smaller compared to the statue, stands Doom himself, waiting. That's all probably the site of a confrontation between him and the 3 heroes. What I've always thought is interesting is none of these so-called plot leaks that we've covered from various people, because I cover whatever on this channel, none of these so-called plot leaks have really spoken about any characters that are not 100% confirmed to be in the movie. You know, no plot details about Thor, no plot details about Wanda, no plot details about Jean Grey, no plot details about Warstu. Do you see what I mean? They're only talking about plot details from characters have been confirmed. Is that for these rumors and leaks to look more real? Because when Thor was kind of, you know, put out there on the internet that he's going to be one of the main leads, no one's been talking about Thor. It's common knowledge and critical thinking, which a lot of people don't use. So I do find it interesting how people will believe stuff with no actual concrete evidence. They were like, yo, this so-called scooper that gets a lot of stuff wrong and pulls stuff from Reddit said this. That means it's true. But the second now someone's like, oh my God, Thor is going to be the lead of the movie, It's like, oh my God, what really happened? But all we really know is 4 years later, at the end of the Fantastic Four movie, Franklin is talking to Doctor Doom. We don't even know if he's talking because it's literally a split second. I think the Russo brothers have missed massively by not giving us a real tease. Now, I get why they've done that, right? Because we have till next Christmas. That is too long. So there's going to have to be something huge in Spider-Man 4. It's grounded. Yeah, I get it's grounded level, street level villain, jabronis and, you know, all that baloney. But there's going to have to be some multiversal, some Doomsday connections set up in that movie, because if they're going to make a big deal about RDJ and Tom Holland acting together, are they going to wait for Doomsday to do it? No. They want Spider-Man 4 to really pop. They put out a fake leak, which will probably go out there already, saying that Doctor Doom's going to be in Spider-Man 4 because we already know this. So it's fascinating. Like I say, no one knows the validity of these leaks. And Kevin Feige coming out saying, yo, we like to perfect the scripts as we're working on it. Michael Waldron being back is cool. I don't actually think Michael Waldron ever went anywhere. And of course, they're filming this movie for 8 months. So of course they're going to do improv. Deadpool and Wolverine did improv. But a good proportion of this movie has to be somewhat written. They can fine-tune things. They can change things here or there. But the Russos may be very bad at post-credit scenes. But the Russos' writers, because it's not actually the Russo brothers, it's their writers, did cook with Infinity War, and Endgame was decent. So this whole narrative from the previous leaks that said, meanwhile, the events of the Fantastic Four arrive on Earth 616 take place. The Thunderbolts' new Avengers are the first to encounter. Reed Richards reveals Doctor Doom has taken their child. Franklin also mentions Galactus, who previously tried to capture Franklin because of his immense powers. Bucky, unsure how to handle the situation, with Doom goes to seek help from Sam. Dispel this whole narrative? We don't know. All they had to do was literally show a tiny bit of Franklin being kidnapped, if you like, or taken by Doom, but he didn't do this. So it kind of debunks this whole Reed Richards uses Wakandan technology to track Franklin and discover that he too is in this parallel universe, probably being the 616 or where the X-Men are. And he also deduces that Doctor Doom is there with him. I mean, it kind of debunks all this stuff, but the main narrative is still the same. The Avengers and anyone associated to Avengers are trying to stop the incursion. Whereas Doctor Doom is probably trying to create a huge incursion to make a new world, aka Battleworld, so he can be the God Emperor Doctor Doom ruler. So the end goal doesn't change. It's just, how do we get there? And we've always known that it's kind of going to have to be Earth 616 Avengers taking on the X-Men or some variation of that. But we do know that Doctor Doom and the TVA and Loki are all going to have to be in some kind of sequence at some point. So it's more fascinating because now the spectrum of theories and rumors can go wild because they've left it open. It's like, yo, Doom just appears in front of Sue and Franklin, and that's it. Goodbye. They will return in Doomsday 2016 Christmas, essentially. Interesting. So I really hope the Russos aren't in control of the post-credit scene for Spider-Man 4 because, like, they should have connected the scenes together, which I guess you can, but you've got to keep guessing what they're actually trying to tell you. You can theorize and hypothesize many things. You'll get the comic book people going, yeah, but Franklin is so OP that he once made Galactus his herald and he became Galactus. And I'm like, doesn't really matter what happens in the comics. Yeah, sure. You could say, oh my God, if Doom does steal Franklin, which he didn't do in this scene, you have to kind of guess, he's got all the power in the freaking multiverse because that's how powerful little Franklin Richards is. But they didn't tell us that. So comic book people were like, yo, but they did this in the comics, but they did this in the comics. It's not the comics. The MCU isn't the comics. So it's like not showing us what we want to know. It's like, here's a scene, nothing happens, nothing was really set up. You've got to do all the guesswork yourself because they don't know how to start Doomsday. And some people think the post-credit scene of the Fantastic Four is the actual start of Doomsday. It could be. We all could be right. We all could be wrong. But for some reason, Doom is talking to Franklin. And I don't care how many comics you've read. You know nothing unless you're actually writing this movie or if you're Kevin Feige. Because they clearly know an end, right? Because they allegedly have now got a 7-year plan. They can't have a 7-year plan without knowing how Secret Wars already ends. It's just, how exactly Doomsday and Secret Wars are really going to end? They don't know. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at Warstu. Check us out on Twitter, WarstuG. Also, check us out on TikTok, WWarstu. I'm going to start posting on there very, very soon. I already have started posting. So please follow us over there, WWarstu, and I'll catch you in another video very soon. Catch you later.